Sheets is coming from the Bahamas. I'm out in California, and I gotta say I'm a little bit jealous. How's it going out there, man?
It's great. It's weather was spotty the first day, very windy, but it picked up. And I pre-entered like everything because the way it works with DraftKings, you can't enter stuff from here, but if you enter stuff from a legal state, you can like edit
Yeah.
your stuff from here.
Yeah.
So I put in like everything. I just redid everything. Oh, there's Rohde. He's here.
Yeah, he pop on in.
Yeah. But yeah, everything's good. Ready to do some. That I told Stacy in advance. I got like gonna do like 45 minutes of NFL.
Yeah.
And then we'll hopefully cash enough to pay for the trip. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. How you doing out there, Rohde?
Doing good, man. How's it going?
Pretty good. We got a really ugly slate. We're gonna go through.
Otherwise known as a sheet slate.
The Sheets slate. This feels, and Sheets is on the road too in the Bahamas. There's no way this is not going to be winning all the money.
Absolutely.
And you know what?
And the best part is I've absorbed literally 0 cents of content, so I have such an edge.
Yeah.
Where are you at in the Bahamas?
At the Cove in Paradise.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. It's warm down there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, very nice today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, so let's jump on into it. Then let's talk about this slate. It's look, as I was me and just talking about Sheets before the show here, and it's pretty crazy. I believe it's 11. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's 11 out of the 20 quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks. It's just a really, really weird slate. And with that, we're going to have to start off with what we want to do at quarterback. We'll end up closing with stacks. But I'm going to start off with you, Sheets. What are you doing at quarterback? Because I'm outside of 2 guys, pretty spread out.
Yeah, I'm pretty spread out anyway. So my and again, for context, I'm playing the 150, and then I'm also playing 1 entry in the Wildcat. That's all I'm doing today. And I'm doing FanDuel and DraftKings as well. My top owned guy on DraftKings is Bryce Young. I have like 20% of him. And then I have 4 other guys over 10%. I have 16% Geno Smith, 13% Lamar in that same game, then 11% Deshaun Watson, 10% Derek Carr, and those are the only guys that have over 10% at quarterback. But Bryce Young is right now my highest owned.
Nice. I like to hear you say that because he is my 3rd highest owned right now.
Good.
Rohde, what do you got? Oh, there goes Rohde. I'll go for my quarterbacks while Rohde's doing his. Usually he's got the kid stuff going on. All right, so make sure I have the right game here because I already do my showdown lineups. All right, so for quarterback on the main slate, I have Lamar as my highest owned on both sites. I have Jalen Hurts as my 2nd highest owned on both sites. And then I have Bryce Young as my 3rd, followed by Dak, Stroud, Geno, O'Connell, Sam Howell. Getting a little, I'm spreading out, like Mac Jones 5%, Baker 5%, Gardner Minshew 2%, Derek Carr 3%. I just wanted to get a little bit spread out because I just feel like it's a weird slate, and but I still am going to have probably about 30% of my buy-ins will be allocated to each of 30% each of Lamar and Hurts. Those are my biggest buy-ins. That's what I'm mostly doing over there. Rohde, what are you doing at quarterback today? Who do you like?
Yeah, a lot of the cheaper quarterbacks. I like the call by Sheets on Bryce Young and them. You got a lot of these cheaper guys for the $3. There's a $3.20 max. I kind of just mixed up all these guys. I think I played one of everyone. Just getting some of these guys like even Jaron Hall, even like Sam Howell, like looks good, and some Sims and Bryce Young, and I like CJ Stroud a little bit. I know people are a little bit lower on that one now. I think as the morning talks are, but I like that one a little bit. Daniel Jones, even at 5'6", Watson, I'm getting a little bit of, but not much. Just kind of mixing up a little bit of these guys, and then going from there, just kind of making some of these vomit stacks, they call them.
Yeah, it's a good vomit stack day for sure. Well, let's turn over, Rohde, to another position that's extremely deep today. Let's talk about running backs. What are you doing at running back today? And then we'll go to Sheets, then me.
Yeah, we got the 3 top running backs projected for point-wise. Like Kamara gets a lot of usage. Jacobs, has been getting a lot of work, but he's had a couple bad weeks, but he's still chalky. Barkley's up there. He's kind of chalky. Then you got Pollard, Bijan, Swift in the next category right there in the low 6Ks to mid 6Ks, as well. And then you got the cheap one, Chuba Hubbard, which I really like this week. And then we talked about Jonathan Taylor on the pick show. The Indy Carolina game I kind of like a little bit, so the couple running backs there. And then I think I'm going to get some Aaron Jones this week. I know everyone's talking about him a little bit, coach talk, but I kind of want him. I think he's going to be 100%. I kind of want to get a little bit of him this week. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
I like it. Makes a lot of sense. I think the Aaron Jones play is actually, even though everyone's talking about it, it feels like one of those plays that they talk about and then don't actually play. So I think you're going to get low ownership on him. I think it's going to be in the 10% range, if maybe lower. Sheets, what are you doing at running back?
Yeah, you read through like 12 guys, and you didn't even mention the guy that I think is going to be the highest owned that I have like 1 billion % of.
Maybe that's good.
I have Devin Singletary, like 400 million %. I have him also projected right now. I just literally had one set of sheets the whole week, and that was like an hour ago. And I have him about 24% owned, something like that. I presume that what's his name is out, or at the very least, there's talk that I don't even know. I guess either Pierce is out or Singletary's just been said is going to be the guy. I guess I don't know, but nonetheless, I'm not fading that. So I have a whole bunch of him, and then I wonder if there's nobody really else that you didn't mention. Taylor, Bijan, Jacobs, Hubbard. Okay, I'll throw 2 other guys in. Gus Edwards, not a guy I usually like to play, but I'm getting a good 15% of him. And then I saw there was comments in the Discord about this, but actually I only have 5% of him. But I'm still going to be playing some Tony Pollard, even though he hasn't done anything. So so for me it's Devin Singletary chalk, and hopefully get different elsewhere.
Yeah, everybody, I'll touch on the Pollard thing because I have a lot more of them than you do. But I think it's a little bit overreactive by everybody. I think this is strictly a coaching thing. Emmett Smith went on a whole rant on this one thing that I was watching, this show I was watching about. Look, this is really like McCarthy's issue. It's really not. They're not giving him opportunities. Everybody's stacking the box, but they won't give him let him ever get out in space. I think today he's going to have a good day. I have 25% of him. He's my my 4th highest owned running back. Jonathan Taylor is my number 1 running back. Devin Singletary. So I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to get some of him at 4,300. With no Dameon Pierce. But I love what Rohde said. If not for that, if this week was just starting now, I think Chuba Hubbard would have been the highest owned running back by a pretty decent amount, or at least close to it. And I think he's going to end up being a little bit overlooked. That's still probably get ownership in the teams, but a little bit lower owned. Same with Ramondre Stevenson, just as the cheap guys. But in order, Taylor, Singletary, Kamara, Pollard, Barkley. I actually have more Barkley lineups, I think, now than I do. Barkley and Pollard are very close for me, and Chuba right there. Then I'm forcing in a bunch of DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker on my Arizona stack run backs. And then I'm going to be underweight on Josh Jacobs, but I'll have some. I will have some Rashad White as a run back for my Houston stacks. And I really think it's a good idea to get exposure to Aaron Jones, like Rohde mentioned, and I think it's a good idea to get exposure to Bijan Robinson. Again, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of good running backs this week. It's really hard to make a tight pool, but those are that's sort of the order I have them in the way that I said it. So I did post for those of you who are Discord members my current exposures in the Discord, and they may change a little, but they're not going to change drastically between now and then. So I'm going to jump into wide receiver and start off there. I don't care what anybody says. They can say, "Oh, you say this every week. Oh, you always want to play this guy," and that never works.
Who Jameson Williams?
No, somehow he's on the slate. Can you believe it?
Okay.
No. I think the best tournament play, and I don't care whether it works today specifically. I'm just going to say the best tournament play in my mind is Devontae Smith. You're going to have a crazy chalky A.J. Brown, who I also like very much. You can play both of them together because we have plenty of value that we can speculate on. So I love Devontae Smith. He's my highest owned receiver. CeeDee Lamb, Demario Douglas, but I'd like to get a little bit less Demario Douglas than I have. I have probably a little too much at 20%. Zay Flowers, very happy with that. Very happy with McLaurin. I have Metcalf and Lockett, part of run backs of that game. And the thing I just made sure to try to do, if I needed a receiver to fit in any price range from 3K to 6K, I'm trying to force in the Washington receivers and the Houston receivers. I really think the Houston receivers are all good plays, and I think Tank Dell gets the lowest ownership, so you can overplay him. But that's what I'm doing. And then my last play that I'm gonna force in after we get off the show, because he's gonna be completely overlooked by the nature of the guys around him, and that's Cooper Kupp. It's pretty weird to see Cooper Kupp at 8,500, and I'm just looking at the projections here. He is projected as the 4th receiver on the slate, and he's going to be sub 10%. This is a spot where, like, literally 2 weeks ago at 9,500, he would have been like 25%. It's just recency bias, and there should be no recency bias. I know there's some questions about the Packers. This whole game feels very weird to me. I don't know why the Packers are his favorite. I don't care that Brett Rippon's the quarterback. I just trust McVay is going to find a way to get cupped the ball a bunch. So that's the guy I'm going to force in. What have you got, Rohde, at wide receiver, and then we'll go to Sheets.
Yeah, I like a lot of the things you said. Like AJ Brown, has been killing it, but like Devontae Smith's a great call. I like the Michael Pittman, 6,600. I like that Indy Carolina game a lot. I like Chris Olave. I mean, for the Saints this week, I like that game as well. Adam Thielen getting some of Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers in that same game. I think they're going to get a bounce back game against the Giants, whether it's Jacobs or one of those receivers that do well. Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, I kind of like in the high 6K range right there. Josh Downs at 5.2, goes in that same game. But I mean, he's questionable, but I think he's going to get lower ownership because of it. If he's good to go, that's good. Michael Thomas at 4.7. Talk about this guy a lot. They got Shaheed and then Olave, so someone's going to usually get there, but I just think they could score 40 points this week. So someone's going to get there. Devontae Smith at 7.1. I like a lot. Tank Dell 5.3. So yeah, those are some of the guys I going to get to. Some of the cheaper guys, maybe we don't. Noah Brown, Jonathan Mingo 3.1, 3.4, Wandale Robb at 3.5. So he's going to get a little more ownership. But one of those cheap guys if you need. And then you got Christian Watson at 4.9. We talk a little bit Packers. I think he's going to have an explosive week one. He's a talented player. We'll just see if the injury's been bothering him, but I think he's going to have a bounce back one of these weeks, and they'll get it figured out in Green Bay. So, yeah. So some of those cheap guys to mid range, it's kind of a range that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, just to touch on the thing, this is the 1 week I'm not playing Jordan Love, and I actually feel really shitty about it. It feels like the Rams defense hasn't really been able to get as much pressure on the quarterback lately, and basically most of the season. And I just feel like without some pressure, maybe this is a spot to do some. Maybe I'll throw in one Rohde Jordan Love lineup just for fun, because I like the idea of the Watson and stuff. Real quick before we go to Sheets, I'm just going to mention James DeVillio. I always have trouble pronouncing your name, James. Sorry about that. He's pointing out that Darrell Henderson is 5,100 on FanDuel for the Rams. I think that's an interesting play if you want to play him alongside Singletary and spend up at all receivers. So I don't think there's anything crazy about the 5,100 for Henderson. I actually prefer Singletary, but if you play both of them together, 5,100 and 5,300, you can literally do whatever you want elsewhere. And I think it's kind of an interesting thing I wanted to touch on for FanDuel. But Sheets, why don't you say who you like at wide receiver?
Well, my top owned guys, again, nothing earth shattering, but Adam Thielen for Carolina, Demario Douglas for New England, and then the majority of the guys you mentioned, but I'll throw them out there. Like Terry McLaurin, receivers by representation, so I'll just put a name to it. Terry McLaurin for Washington. And then I don't know if you guys mentioned these guys, but because I have Geno Smith, or one of the reasons I have Geno Smith is I do have some Lockett and Metcalf, like over 20% each of those two. Amari Cooper, you already mentioned Olave. I don't know why I'm playing Michael Thomas, if you want to know the truth. I know he's 4,300, but I mean, it seems like that's what he should be. But what can I tell you? I'm a little under on AJ Brown. I guess that's a good thing if he's going to be really chalky. And you mentioned most of the other guys. I mean, listen, if you're going to play Lamar, I imagine Zay Flowers, and we'll get to tight end in a minute, but I imagine Zay Flowers will show up in some of those stacks. And that's pretty much all I got. But my top owned guys again are Demario Douglas from New England and Adam Thielen for Carolina.
Adam Thielen, 7,500 and totally deserved. Just keeps chucking along.
Yep.
Well, as we jump into tight end here, I'm gonna point out a guy that no one's playing before I ask you what you guys are doing. It's an interesting. I think double tight end and triple running back are a lot of ways to. I'm gonna do a lot of that stuff today. But it is interesting because I just want to point out we haven't had we have a tight end with the most rushing, the only tight end you've ever had with rushing upside Nobody's playing Taysom Hill today, and I just think that's kind of interesting as a play. I just want to throw that out there. Rohde, what do you think? I'm sorry, Cheech, what do you think about Taysom Hill? Do you have any of them? And who are you playing at tight end? Because I think it's pretty loaded today. I actually do.
I don't have any of Taysom Hill.
Okay.
I have 35% TJ Hawkinson from Minnesota. And then the next two are guys I mentioned in my stack. So Mark Andrews, I have 17% of, and then David Njoku with 16%, and the rest is just basically spread. So I guess those would be my top three: Hawkinson by a lot, then Andrews and Njoku. And I should mention, by the way, that even though I have Lamar and the Baltimore guys is like my third highest on DraftKings in 150 max, I think I have Lamar in all of the big buy-ins that I have.
Yeah. I do want to throw out, if you're playing Lamar, I think that it's not a bad day to play Beckham as a double stack with Zay. Or, I mean, the chalkier one would be the Andrews way with Zay. But I like the idea of getting a little bit of Odell Beckham in the large field stuff. Just wanted to throw that out there. All right, Rohde, what do you got at tight end?
Yeah, I like the top guys, Hawkinson, Andrews, and Goddard. I think this week for me, I like Goddard a lot in that Eagles game. I'm a little bit under on like the Trey McBride chalk 12%. I like Njoku a little bit, but I'm probably under his 11%. Daniel Bellinger's a cheap one at 2.5. I think might get some work in there for that Giants stack. Luke Musgrave at 3.3. Could be the game for Hunter Henry again at 3.6. But mostly I'm going to play Goddard. I like Andrews a lot. Pitts is at 4.1. Could a little more work with London out this week. Don't mind that. And Logan Thomas at 3.5 for the Washington stacks. I got a little bit of him. Mm-hmm. And then you could play Schultz or Ferguson in your Dallas stacks if you got any, and Houston stacks. I don't mind Schultz in the Houston stack a little bit at 4.2. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually don't have any McBride right now. I'm probably going to end up with like one or two lineups with him, but I did like want to steer clear of the chalk because I like a lot of things at tight end. As Sheets mentioned, that my highest on tight end is Hawkinson, but the next two I have a ton of is Andrews and Dallas Goedert. I love Goddard today, and then no surprise back to the Philly game. I don't know why. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about him, although why is no one interested in Jake Ferguson? So I'm going to play Jake Ferguson today just to get exposure in a different way to that game. He's going to be low owned. I have Kyle Pitts next. They don't, look, it doesn't matter how bad the quarterback is or whatever. They're going to have to throw the ball a few times. He's their best wide receiver and the tight end. So I think that it's a good day for Pitts. Some Dalton Schultz in those stacks. Michael Meyer, just to avoid the troll game because I had the Meyer captains for all the other ones. So Michael Meyer and a couple of my O'Connell stacks. And then Njoku for me, outside looking in, Hunter Henry, K. Dotton. I would like to get a little bit of Hunter Henry, but I don't really want more than like 5%. All right, defense and Sheets. You're going to have to start this one off because, well, okay, maybe I go and then I'll go to you because I currently have 40% of the defense. This just feels like too high of a number, and it's the Giants. No shocker there. It's 2,300. It's against O'Connell. I think they're the best play. My second favorite is the Rams, followed by the Patriots, Packers, and Browns. I went out of my way to spend all the way up to 4,200 for the Browns because this is the kind of day where I could see the Browns putting up like a 30 plus. Like they could score multiple defensive touchdowns. This is the best defense in football playing at home against a team without a quarterback that already can't do anything anyway. It just feels like a good spot to, if you're going to make an excuse to pay up, today may be the day to try to do it for that specific defense. But again, it feels bad paying 4,200 for a defense. All right, Sheets, what do you got, and what do you think of this insanity of 40% of the Giants defense?
Yeah, so as I mentioned every week, I mean, I really don't like to play more than 20% of any defense. And the two teams that I have that I'm getting over 20% of, which quite honestly, I just don't have any time to redo these, so I'm just going to keep them anyway. I do have 25% Giants, and I'm just going to keep it that way. O'Connell is whatever, but not only that, but Giants blitz like every play, so it's so there's a lot of variance involved there, and call this whatever it is. I mean, the Raiders are our first time new coach. I don't know what that means really, but just more variance means whatever. I think they're going to be chalky, but that is what it is. And the other guy guys that have a decent amount of hits, and I don't know if you mentioned these, but other guys have 10% of or more. Packers against whatever his name is, and then the Saints. The Saints could end up with a 0, by the way, if Fields gets rolled. Is Fields playing or no?
No, Fields is not. No.
Oh, so the Saints are probably fine.
Unless I missed something.
No, it's fine. and then Houston is the other one. So yes, I do respect the Giants. The Giants projection here, and I'm getting about 25% of it.
Nice. All right. How about you, Rohde, for defenses?
Yeah, the Giants, I'm getting quite a lot. I do. I know Patriots are coming out a little bit for defense wise too, but I do really like the Packers defense, 100 less than them. I know Patriots are like really chalky as well, 2-9, but Giants are the next chalky. But I really like Packers at 2-8, a little bit to get different. And there's another one that I kind of had. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones I'm playing the mostly. You can even play the Rams at 2-6, Seahawks at 2-4. I threw a few in, and then I just kind of mixed all those. We talked on the pick show, mix all those 2K defenses in. But yeah, the Browns are probably really good if you can get to them this week.
It's just like one of those. Maybe it's a FanDuel play where you can kind of afford it, because I just think that there's upside for like that for a lot of the cheap defenses too. But this Browns defense is absolutely no joke, and I would hate to see what they do today. They're terrifying.
Yeah, I just actually build a couple with the Browns defense in on FanDuel, so
you can do it, and like no one's going. I really think they end up like this sub 5%. They could win the position by double. I mean, I know it's hard to win the. I know there's so much all this stuff, but they're going to be in the position to force a bunch of turnovers. So we'll see. I would have played the Chiefs defense if they were up. No, I'm just kidding, because the Chiefs already got a touchdown. Defense is a touchdown. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to talk about some stacks. Look, there's the pretty obvious one. I like Baltimore, Seattle. I like the Packers. I'm sorry, I like the Philadelphia and Dallas. Those are the chalkier ones. I really like the Carolina thing that we talked about. That Sheets mentioned about the Bryce Young. I like the CJ Stroud stacks. I like even though I'm so heavy on the Giants, I'm going to get some O'Connell still, and I think O'Connell to Devontae Adams, if you want to save money, is a reasonable way to go. I like the Washington stack. I think it's just right every week if you're multi-entering to get some exposure to Washington stack. They throw the ball so much. I think it's worth taking a shot. So both sides of that, Washington stack, and I even have some New England stacks as well because they're so cheap. Let's go to you, Rohde, and then we'll finish with Sheets with stacks.
Yeah, I like a lot of the same stacks you mentioned. Carolina indie game I'm high on. Saints stack a little bit, but there's just worried about the run back in that game. I mean, you could do that with no run back, but playing a lot of the just straight up with their players. But then Houston stack I like a lot as well. And then I'm getting a little bit more of the Vikings stack and Atlanta game a little bit, maybe with a run back of Bijan or Pitts. Kind of weird vomit stack there. And then a little bit of Daniel Jones, and then Vegas Aiden O'Connell. So yeah, just that game. If you notice, I'm taking a lot of these dome games this week and kind of playing those as my main stacks.
Nice. How about you, Sheets?
Carolina number 1. It's just going to go with my quarterback exposure, but Carolina number 1, then Seattle, then again Baltimore, Cleveland, and New Orleans. Just a couple of points of context. I guess you probably either went over this in the pick show or maybe somebody did a deep dive, whatever. Just so you guys know, I mean, there's when Rohde talked about Bellinger. I mean, for those who didn't realize, the reason why that's even showing up at all is that Darren Waller is out. So if you guys just run stuff and say, "What the hell am I getting Daniel Bellinger for?" It's not like an accident. I'm not saying it's a great play or a good play or bad. I'm just giving you a little context of why that's even showing up at all. But those are the stacks again: Carolina, Seattle, Baltimore, Cleveland, and New Orleans.
Can I ask a quick question? Are we making Sheets? This is I'll direct this one to you. This is the Giants who looked so horrible last week. This is going to be a 0% owned stack. Shouldn't we be playing Daniel Jones stack here and there, like against the Raiders?
Well, I have double digits of Wan'Dale Robinson. I have that. Yeah, maybe. I mean, anything's possible, and it's a 10-game slate.
Tremendous rushing upside, obviously, for Daniel Jones. He's of all the guys who are below 6K, I think he has the highest upside.
No problem with that.
You could play him with Barkley, by the way. There's no problem with that. Then you use one of the cheap receivers or Bellinger or both. Run it back with the obvious Josh Jacobs or Devontae Adams. I think it makes for an interesting stack. And obviously much better conditions to be playing in today than they had last week. And they're playing the Raiders in Vegas. That's sort of the nut matchup. I think I'm going to get some Daniel Jones when we get off this show. I really think that's not a bad idea. What about you, Rohde, for stacks?
I already did my stacks.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that.
You're good. Yeah, sorry.
I'm
no,
I
can go with more Giants. Yeah, you should get some more Giants. I think Giants is a good stack, but it is hard to figure out who to pair him with. Daniel Jones, that's the real tricky part.
Right, but you can. The good news is whoever.
No, I'll help you with that. You can get Wanda Robinson, another cheapo at Hyatt. He likes. He's not
Hyatt,
bad. I mean, those are really cheap.
Yeah, Slayton's cheap too. He's supposed to play. He's projected decent.
And pair him with Barkley for.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You just
Barkley, Wandale, and then you run it back with Devontae or Jacobs. I love that.
Yeah,
and then Mayer breaks the slate.
And Mayer breaks the slate, of course, right? Or you could double tight end it with Bellinger and Mayer.
That's it.
Oh yeah. I like the Bellinger run back with him or play with him. Yeah.
All right, so okay, guys, we've kind of gone through most of our stuff. It's a smaller slate, so things kind of went a little bit quicker today. I had my bold take the other day, but I'm gonna throw another bold take here. I guess it's one that I've used before, but I wasn't wrong because he was on the millionaire winning lineup. I'm gonna say Devontae Smith. I said Mark Andrews on our pick show. I still believe in that, but I like the Devontae Smith play as a potential millionaire winner today. So that's what I'm going with. Do you have any hot take sheets? Anything that you want to throw out there that before we end up taking some questions and getting out of here?
To be perfectly honest, I didn't put a lot of time into the slate. You know what I mean? So I really don't have.
You're winning for sure. Then you're winning.
I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not going to win. I'm just saying I didn't think about it enough to get to know what's hot, what's cold, or whatever. So I'll just default. I'll make yours a double one, Bobby.
Well, now I'm saying that now we know you're going to win. We already knew it was a sheet slate anyway.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely winning, but I just don't know if I have anything a hot take or anything like that.
You know what's funny is we're joking, and Sheets always says he always feels like there's no way to win. And then whenever he says it, it always happens. So I would suggest listening to some of Sheets' stuff today. Rohde, any takes for you? Anything that you're way overweight on? Anything that I know you don't like the hot take thing, but anything that stands out to you as is it the Green Bay stack? Maybe, I don't know.
No, I got one for you.
Oh, I love
it. Might not be good for you guys, but I don't think Lamar, Dak, or Hurts is in the Millie winner lineup today. I think it's one of these cheap quarterbacks, breaks the slate, game scores over the total. And I mean, it's not like a great hot take, but
do you have a favorite of the cheap quarterbacks, or are you sort of spread out on them?
I don't know. I'm so spread out on them right now. I think maybe I'm getting more. Oh man, I'm starting to like the Bryce Young and the Vikings one, the Hall kid. Getting more on those cheap guys, but Bryce Young, yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's funny. The other day I ran like a Sabersim build just to see if I wanted to look more into it. And I ran a Sabersim build yesterday, just using Sabersim projection. I didn't do anything. And I was getting like 100% of the Hall guy from Minnesota. I'm like, I'm not even looking the rest of the week.
People talk about he's pretty talented, I guess. He could have a future in the NFL, I guess, but I don't know much about it.
But it was one of those fake Sabersim projections, probably.
Who is that?
The guy from Minnesota. I literally was getting 100% of him using just Sabersim stuff.
Oh, really?
I guarantee it was one of those Sabersim glitches where they was projected for 50 points or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No, but that's interesting. I mean, look, I can't really say. We've seen guys come in and do it, but I don't know. Maybe Jaron Hall has a nice day.
Yeah, I just like him because we know he's going to throw it to. Like Addison's been playing really well, and then you got Hawkinson that you guys are really high on. If you guys are higher on the players, you take the $4,800 guy, or what I mean. So
but I would say
kind of high on it, It's in a dome game.
While Addison makes sense, I think that if you're pairing him, I also think you could go Osborne or Powell with Hawkinson.
No, yeah, you can mix it up and get different stacks in. But Atlanta is good with the pass defense, so there is some concern.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. They're really good against number one wide receivers, especially.
Exactly. So that's my worry with Hall. That's why I kind of spread it out with these other vomit stacks that we really like today. I am getting some more of the Jones and Aiden O'Connell as well. So that game I'm a little higher on too. So, it could be from that game,
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I just noticed
before we leave, these Q tags I'm seeing on Sabersim, do these Shark is playing Is Nakua in?
Nakua's in.
Okay.
Yeah, Nakua's expected to play. Shark is expected to play.
Okay.
That's pretty much all we got.
Nakua's in, but I wouldn't be surprised. Not if he's limited, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't feel great on the first few drives or something like that. I could see it being a little bit of an issue. But he's a tough kid. All right, guys, pop in any questions or thoughts, anything like that. And Jesse asked this before, but I think we all are on the same page. Thoughts on Houston stack, Stroud, Collins, Singletary, run back with Evans. I don't know if I want to play. It's fine to play Stroud with Singletary, but I just don't think you need to do that if you don't want to. But I think that's a great stack. I really like the Houston stack.
Yeah, I think Stroud's going to be in one of my main lineups today. I don't know which one, but I really like him today too.
Yeah, these guys. Look, it's fun. We get to play the top guys in this year's draft. We get to play Stroud and Bryce Young and all that stuff. We almost got it. We got the matchup with the both of them last week, but it was sort of vultured by the running backs. All right. Any other takes before we get out of here? Sheets, anything else that you want to touch on? I did ask for QQs. I don't think there's a whole bunch coming in. It's Sunday. Everybody spreads out their content providers. Anything you want to throw in before we go to Rohde to take us out of here?
Yeah, it's really warm, so I'm going outside.
Okay, that sounds. By the way, you have the right shirt on for the Bahamas. So
yeah, that's right.
Get to the pool. Get to the pool. We don't want to hold them up.
Exactly. Take us out of here, Rohde.
All right, guys. Good luck, everyone, today. And as always, let's